smallest I would go down comfortably. Again, that's going to be the Humana case, but it's going to be very tough because we've got to get every entity to pay about the same amount of premium. Another individual asked, James asked, did he hear correctly that the premiums are being converted from ordinary income into long-term capital gains when the shareholder takes them out? Yes, that could happen, assuming the losses are minimal. If the losses are minimal, then again, the profits come out of the captive at a reduced tax rate. So, all right, so we almost have all the results here. So, of course, all those above are big issues right now in terms of what are the most common abuses. It's interesting that inflated premium pricing is, after all the above, the next one. I would actually say right now the IRS is looking at pools maybe first and foremost, and if the risk is reasonable and necessary, which I didn't put on there, but I would say that's what the IRS is looking for right now, from what I understand through the grapevine. I could be wrong, but that's what I'd heard. I do know there was an IDR that was submitted to about a half a dozen captive managers in regards to these sham pools. So that's something that's happening in the industry. Again, nobody's been accused of doing anything wrong, but there are a lot of pools out there that have simply not paid claims, or they're not priced appropriately. So that is probably, in my opinion, where the IRS is looking at closely. They're trying to understand how these pools operate and how they vary amongst the different captive managers right now. So with that, why don't we go into the Atlas pool and how we do things. And again, this is not the only right way. There's other good managers out there that have great risk-sharing programs as well. Now, our program, the way it works, it's a little more complicated than some of the programs out there. So we'll try to simplify this. Generally, what our customers do is we will go in and identify maybe 10, 15 different lines of coverage. The first thing that a lot of people get confused on is when they look at these small, mid-sized captives, they immediately think, or not everybody, but many think that we're just insuring one or two coverages. It's impossible to write a policy for $1 million and charge $1 million premium for it. And that's where it comes into the creativity and of identifying coverages, looking at the deductibles in order to really build the premium. So let's assume this customer, we wrote a $1 million policy limit. The way our program works is the customer pays the first $15,000 of losses. Now, we do that simply to make sure there's no moral hazard for a customer to start submitting claims frivolously. Now, some folks will start paying claims out at first dollar. Now, that's great too. You just don't want to see a large deductible. You need that pool to attach early on. Now, the next $210,000 of losses for this $1 million limit for, let's say, a legal defense policy, loss of income from a key employee, or whatever that policy is, the next $210,000 of losses is going to be paid by the pool. And then anything over that goes back to the captive. So if a customer had a $1 million loss, $790,000 is paid by their own captive, and only $210,000 comes from the pool. Now, we take this within the pool at Atlas. There are different retentions. So the first big claim that hits, cumulative losses of a couple $100,000, the participants in the pool all share. We have about 70 participants, so everybody pays a few $1,000s. Now, the next $1 million of losses approximately, Atlas pays. So the customer, it's general in the industry, when you participate in one of these pools, you're going to be paying a pooling fee to have access to that risk distribution.